it's Kira's Choice, and for today's movie review, I'll be discussing the movie Good Luck to You, Leo Grande. And I originally chose this just because it looked like an interesting topic. If you haven't heard, this is a 2022 film starring Emma Thompson. This originally came from a film festival and was released in the UK. It has a lot of positive reviews, and once it was released to Hulu, I was like, bet, let me watch this. And the concept itself, it's quite interesting. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This is a sex dramedy, so drama, comedy. There's some sensuality in it. Nothing's actually shown except towards, I'll get to that part in a second. But, so this movie takes place in, I believe, the UK. It is about this woman named Nancy. She's a retired religious teacher, and she hires a sex worker to experience adventure and just something she hasn't really experienced in general in her life, which is the O word. The O word. I'll leave some pictures to give you a sense of what I mean when I say she's never done that before. She's never had fireworks. She's never been to a successful baseball game. I don't know how else to say it. This movie in general is about self-reflection and being honest with oneself about what they are and just being open to who they are in general. For example, so Nancy, throughout this movie, she is quite shameful that she's an older woman seeking intimacy from this man. His name is Leo, as the title implies. And at one point she asks him, she's like, hey, what's the oldest? I don't know. Let's shoot the shit. What's the oldest person you've been with? And he says 82. She's like, 82? 82? Well, like he said, that's being a bit reductive. He, in general, is a very nice man. He's a gentleman. He always asks permission before he does anything with her, and he makes her feel very special. And as the movie progresses, he's trying to get her to love her reflection, while also, if you notice, when he passes his reflection in the beginning, he's okay with it. But as she's changing in the bathroom, he checks his reflection again. He's not so much okay with it. And he checks it one more time, and he's still kind of meh about it. But he does show herself in the mirror, and he's trying to get her to realize how beautiful she is. She always hasn't found her body attractive, even at a younger age. She's always found something wrong with it. And he's even mentioned, like, I love the perfume you're wearing. What is it called? She's like, Coco Chanel. This one actress wears it. And he's like, oh yeah, that actress is very sexy. And he's like, what? She's like, you mean for her age? He's like, no. She's empirically sexy at any age. So it's like right off the back, you know that she's insecure about her age and about seeking work from this man, his service more specifically. But as we go on, we learn that Nancy took it too far. So this is a spoiler. If you haven't seen this movie and you want to see it, I'm about to drop a spoiler, okay? So by the third meeting, she messes up. Nancy. She's like, hey, I've been wanting to know more about you. I don't feel like you've been real with me. And he's like, I'm who you want me to be. What do you mean? She's like, well, I know your real name. I know your name. He's like, oh, okay. So he leaves. He's pissed. He leaves. She has disrespected him, and he's proud of the persona he's created and the business he's created and the services he gives to others, because it's not all pleasure in the physical sense. He sometimes even goes to someone's house and just hangs out with them and watches a movie with them, hold their hand, that's it. Or other times, there's other ways he brings pleasure to people without it being in the bedroom. So he's very proud of it, but for her to cross that boundary and say, hey, I know who you really are, he's like, I'm out of here. I'm done. Deuces. But then he comes back because he can't find his phone. And he's still heated. He's flipping the mattress, flipping items, and he's like, oh, where is it? And he explains to her the reason why, and I didn't mention this at first, but his conflict is that allegedly his mom thinks he works at an oil rig, when in actuality, she has disowned him a long time ago because of some exploring he was doing at a young age with other friends. So she's long since disowned him, treats him like he's a ghost, and has told people basically that he's dead. And Nancy tries to offer in that moment. Mind you, he's mad, can't find his phone. She offers in the moment, hey, can I call your mom? I'll make it up to you. Like, I'm very good with parents. I'll explain to her you're doing a great job in the service. He's like, no, don't even talk about my mom. Don't talk to her. No. And then he leaves. And at that point, you're thinking, wow, well, she screwed up a good thing. They're never going to see each other again. Nope. Meeting 4. So all the way up to this point, Nancy knows his name. Now she knows that Leo's mom basically disowned him, and that his brother also thinks that he works at a oil rig. Leo, on the other hand, knows that she doesn't entirely enjoy being a mom. She finds it to be very heavy on her, and like her kids are dead weight, which that sucks. That's her truth. And she's like, I could have done a lot of things. I don't know, like open an art loft on an island or reached the home run if I didn't have kids. But this last meeting, this time they're not meeting in the room. They're meeting at the restaurant part of the hotel. And he's agreed to just talk, and that's it. And so he hears her out. Mind you, a former student recognizes her and is like, hey. Mind you, her name is Mrs. Robinson, her real name. Nancy's real name is Susan Robinson. Hey, Mrs. Robinson, do you recognize me? She's like, no. He's like, really? You don't? No. Well, okay, cool. I mean, the way you taught me sucked, and it's really stuck with me for a long time. But anyways, why are you here? And then that's when Leo comes. This your friend? Is this your friend? He's like, well, I'm here to sell her a car. Yeah. She's like, oh, okay, cool. Goes away. So, they're still kind of ashamed of what they do. And so at this point, Nancy, really Susan, that's her real name, she apologizes to Leo, tells him that she went too far. She was deep in a lustful desire, and she wanted it to be real. Mind you, she's never been with this man besides her late husband and now Leo. So she got really obsessed, and that's why she did that deep dive. But nevertheless, she apologizes, and at some point, Leo says, actually, you know what, thank you, and also I did tell my brother the truth of what my career is, and my brother already kind of knew. He didn't believe he worked at an oil rig. So the student comes back, her name is Becky. She's like, hey, do you remember that one time we brought me and my classmates into the auditorium and told us that we're all sluts because of the height of our skirt, and if we dress like sluts, we'll be treated like sluts? Yeah, that stayed with me for about 20 years. And that was embarrassing, but also a come to God moment for Nancy. She's like, you know what, I'm sorry for that. I shouldn't have raised you that way. I shouldn't have taught you that way. And she apologizes, and she comes clean and says, hey, actually, this guy's not selling me his car. He's been selling me something else. And I actually do highly recommend him. And yeah, you're a woman. You can do what you want. And I'm sorry I said that. And then those two go upstairs to do some things of that sort. And she doesn't still home run, but then he goes to his bag to get her something with that. And then she home runs by herself. So by the end of the movie, he leaves, he's smiling, he passes a reflection, and he's actually happy with it. And she looks at herself fully in birthday suit and accepts herself as well. This movie overall is very beautiful. I didn't expect it. It's about an hour and 30 minutes, but it feels like 20 minutes because the story accelerates pretty quickly. For it to be a sex dramedy, you would think there'd be a lot of things seen, but not really, more than the usual stuff, except the very last scene. As I said, spoiler, you do see a fully nude Emma Thompson, so prepare yourself for that. But it's not like a bad moment. It's just like, oh, didn't know that was gonna happen. Cool, but then again, sex dramedy. Have you seen this movie? Did you like it? And if you have any recommendations, please leave them down in the comment section down below. I make new videos once a week, and as usual, stay curious, my friends.